On today's episode of Bengals Breakdown, we're taking a look at how the Bengals can once again be aggressive in free agency, make a major move or two or three, and clear up to $86 million in salary cap space. Now, the Bengals already have a ton of salary cap space. They are number 4 right now per over the cap, with just under $60 million. That's a good amount of money. A lot of that is going to go to some of their own players, T. Higgins, etc. Certainly would not blame them at all there. But with the estimated $242 million in cap space, or in salary cap this year for the NFL, which could go a little bit higher, maybe a little bit lower, the Bengals can be aggressive if they want to, even though they're paying Joe Burrow big money, even though historically they have not, even though historically they like to roll over big money each year. The Bengals have cash. They've got cap if they want to be aggressive and go try to capture that elusive Super Bowl right now. So do you want the Bengals to be aggressive in NFL free agency? If you do, which I think most of us would like to, then like today's video for me right now. Now make no mistake, a good portion of this salary cap space is going to go to their own players. Re-signing or tagging a guy like T. Higgins, keeping money in the future available as the Joe Burrow contract continues to rise. Re-signing other key players, including but not limited to somebody like a DJ Reader. But there's a lot of money available to throw at a defensive tackle, another offensive lineman, a running back, whatever. And they can free up even more with some relatively simple if moves they haven't historically tended to make. I would like to see the Bengals be super aggressive. I'm not saying go full-on Rams, Eagles, but there are multiple levels of things this team can do to be a little bit more aggressive with their spending the way that they have than what they have done in the past. So what is your confidence level in the Bengals front office right now? Scale it for me from 1 to 10. 1 on the low end, 10 on the high end. This will be today's pinned comment. So if the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. So let's talk moves to free up even more cap space here. Number 1 is cut Joe Mixon. And I'm not trying to be anti-Mixon here, but the running back market has an extra supply as opposed to the demand. You would save almost $6.5 million if you were to cut Joe Mixon. Who here thinks Mixon would command that on the open market? I don't. So why am I paying it to him? Mixon is a good football player, and if he wants to, come back on a cheaper deal, which, maybe he doesn't want to do since we just did that last offseason, sure, I have interest. But in a very strong crop of free agent backs, I can find better than 4 yards a carry. I can find that for probably cheaper or at least the same cost or the same production for cheaper. And you might be going, but Tom, that's the offensive line, wasn't good enough. I agree. But you know what my problem is? Then why am I paying back big money? Why don't I take that money and invest in a new left guard, in a right tackle that's not going to be as expensive, or Page and Williams, whatever route you want to go there? So you have the flexibility to consider that. So what would you do with Joe Mixon? This will be a big storyline until the roster decision that has to be made with his roster bonus being due early in March. C for cut him, K for keep. Sound off in the comments. I think all of us would agree with point number 2. Let's go ahead and cut Nick Scott. This doesn't even really free up that much money for me. It saves $2.3 million if you cut him before June 1st, or $3.3 million after June 1st. The $1 million in savings doesn't really impact you all that much. You'll probably take 2.3 now, so you have it available if you need it in free agency, or you take the extra $1 million dead money next year. It's not overly impactful there, but Nick Scott wasn't very good. And maybe Jordan Battle, Jackson Hill are enough for you at safety. Maybe you want to find another impact player back there and figure out what to do with Hill and or Battle. Or maybe you just want to draft somebody else. I don't see room for Nick Scott. I'm going to cut him, plain and simple. Today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. If you haven't gotten going with Prize Picks yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. It's daily fantasy made easy. You pick 2 to 6 player stat projections, more than less than, on those stat projections. And as long as your picks come in correct, you're going to rake in the money. You can go NFL, Super Bowl stuff, get to that in a little bit here. NBA, college basketball is available as well. In general, I love the flex play. The flex play makes it even easier to win because instead of having to get all 3 or all 4 or all 5 or all 6 right, you got room for getting one wrong. And my NFL slates this year, I would have gone like 2 for on getting all my power plays. With the flex play, I only missed like 3 all year. That was awesome. So go to prizepicks.com/CLNS to get a first deposit match up to $100. Here's one of my Super Bowl prize picks, by the way. More than Christian McCaffrey carries, more than Travis Kelce receiving yards, less than Rashee Rice catches. I could see 5 or 6, but 7, I'm not buying it. Again, folks, prizepicks.com/CLNS and using code CLNS gets you a first deposit match up to $100. The link will be in the comment section and in the description of today's video. Now, steps 3 and 4 are a little bit different than what the Bengals have historically done. That is restructuring the contract of Joe Burrow. Burrow's cap hit in 2024, it's not that bad. It's $29.7 million. That's going to be near the tops of the NFL, but not so high that you cannot manage it with a $242 million cap or salary cap number. That number will rise. That figure is going to go up over the years with the Joe Burrow contract. But you could restructure and save almost $8 million on the salary cap. Bring that number down to barely 21. Now we're saving some money on that front. The issue here is you're putting that money off into the future. It's adding some extra money off in later years with the restructure. This is not the Bengals' usual way. They don't really restructure contracts. They'll do the occasional pay cut. They'll do extensions. They'll do contracts. They don't restructure. Their cash spending relative to the salary cap is not nearly as maximized, in part because there's been some claims that Mike Brown's a little bit more cash poor. But the rest of the NFL does have a tendency to do this. The extreme example is a team like Philadelphia that is constantly pushing money off into the future to try to win in the short term. But I think it's time for the Bengals to dabble in this. You have to keep on evolving. You're kind of putting yourself in a disadvantage when the other contenders are doing this and you are not. That's noteworthy. Now, the Bengals also never paid massive guaranteed money until Joe Burrow. It was Paul Brown Stadium. They renamed it Paycor, in part to help pay for Joe Burrow and the massive guarantees in his contract. This is something I think the organization needs to start doing. Burrow stands out as one of them. You don't have to be as aggressive with it, but a little bit more aggressive, I think, makes some sense. So will the Bengals choose to go down this path of restructures, etc.? Y for yes, N for no. I'm not convinced. What do you guys think? The extreme example you could do here is Trey Hendrickson. I'm not even advocating for the extreme figure. Hendrickson, though, is a $20+ million cap at this upcoming season. That is the second biggest figure on the team behind Joe Burrow. It's not top 10 right now among ends. It'll be top 10, if not top 5, once we get to the actual season, because other players are going to get cut, restructures will happen, etc. A simple restructure would save $6.8 million. Now, that's without adding void years. Now, void years are fake years tacked onto the back end of a contract that allow you to push money off in the future when that player is no longer actually under contract. It all gets started into 1 year. You could double that $6.8 million figure thereabouts by adding some void years in. I'm not going to advocate for the Bengals to do that. I don't think that they would. But hey, trying to win games right now, that $7 million seems kind of appealing. Plus, if you don't spend it, it rolls over into next year anyway. Now, we will have a ton of Bengals coverage for you all offseason long. Just because the season stops doesn't mean we do. Hit that sub button right now, youtube.com/BengalsTV. The fifth move might seem kind of weird to say out loud, but it is how it works. You can extend Jamar Chase and actually free up salary cap space. Now, this would require you to be very aggressive and not increase the way that the base salary is set to be this year. Keep that number low. You'll pay for it more in the future, but you're not paying Chase much in terms of the cap, despite him getting a bunch of cash, so both sides are happy. You could free up to $3 million by doing this. Now, that comes by paying Jamar Chase whatever he wants still. You just make it a very low base salary and a big fat signing bonus, or roster bonus or whatever, which isn't always how the Bengals like to do things. Tyreek Hill is the number one highest paid receiver with kind of a fake contract. The very last year of Hill's deal is not guaranteed. It's probably not going to get paid out. $30 million's kind of fake. 28 and 27 are a bit more realistic for Kupp and Adams, but Justin Jefferson's going to get paid. CeeDee Lamb is going to get paid. The longer you wait, the more it costs. Because whoever is last among the Lamb-Jefferson trio to get paid is going to be the highest paid wide receiver. So if you can get it done first, you'll save money. That's also why the players don't want to sign first, because they can wait and get an extra $1 million, $2 million, whatever, per year. If you can, you'd be wise to set the market before it sets you. So those 5 moves by the Bengals can free up $27 million in addition to the nearly $60 million in salary cap. Then 27 is kind of a rough estimate, can round down, whatever. Let's call it $86 million in salary cap space. Imagine having all that money and what you'd be able to do. T. Higgins, DJ Reed, you can go sign a left guard if you want. Add some defensive impact pieces. You can build a damn good football team by doing that, if you want to be a little bit more aggressive.